Hello, fellow readers. My name is John, and today I want to make a Wheel of Time book tier list. So I just finished reading the Wheel of Time series for the first time ever. Um, I think I have kind of a unique perspective on it because I think a lot of people started reading the series when they were much younger. So I'm 34, so I started reading the series as a little bit older of a person. So I think my perspective on these books are a little different, and I just want to talk about them and put them in a tier list because I have finished and I don't know what to do with all this book knowledge now. Because there's 15 books and they're all pretty long, besides for New Spring. So before I start rating them, I want to go over my tiers first, and my tiers are named after like my star rating. So this is how I star rate books 5 through 1. Um, the highest tier is perfect, the perfect tier, which means that these are the books I would give 5 stars to. They are the perfect books in the series. I wouldn't change anything about them. And when I give a book 5 stars, they automatically go among my favorite books of all time. And there's no like set limit. Like if I hit a certain limit, I drop one down. No, that's not a thing. If it's a 5 star book, it's a 5 star book. If it's a perfect book, it's a perfect book. So the next tier is great. And this is normally where I rate my 4 or 4.5 star books. And great means they're just great books that I would reread any day of the week. So I thoroughly enjoyed my time reading them, and I would reread these books any day of the week. They're amazing. They're great. There may be like one or two things that keep it from being perfect, but they're still great. The next tier is good, and this is where I keep my 3 or 3.5 star books. And this means there's more things that I hate it about it than I would in the great tier, but I still enjoyed my time reading it. So there's more good than bad, in my opinion. More things I liked than I hate it. Um, but these are books that I would never really reread. These are like I enjoyed my time reading them, but I wouldn't go back and reread them unless they're part of a series of books that have a lot. Unless they're part of a series that has a lot of books that are great or perfect in them, like this does. So that a lot of these books that I consider good, I would go back and reread because it's in a series that has a lot of great books in them. But in generally speaking, good books are books I enjoyed reading, but I'm probably never itching to reread. But I did like more things about it than I hated. And then we get into the meh category or the fine category, as I call it. And these are where I keep my 2 and 2.5 star books, 2.5 star books. And usually I categorize these things into 3 different ways you can get into 2 stars. So either there's like equal amount that I hate or like about the book. So they kind of like cancel each other out. It's just kind of a meh book. Or I can tell it's a good book, but it's just not for me. So that's another way I can get into meh. Like I can tell this is a good book. Other people will probably enjoy it, but I didn't really enjoy myself as much. Okay, and then there's the third way I can get into it, and that is I really enjoyed the book, but the end killed it. Like I did not like the end, and that's another way to get into the meh category. Like I enjoyed my time here, I really hated the end, so it kind of dropped down. And that happened with The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue that I read earlier this year. That's how that got into the 2 star range or the meh range. That actually didn't happen for any book in this series, though. And then there's the 1 star books, and that means I hated my time reading it. I still finished it. If I don't finish a book, I don't rate it. It's just DNF. But if I hated my time in the book, it gets a 1 star. Spoiler alert: no book in the Wheel of Time got a 1 star rating for me. There won't be any books in the hated it category, but I figured I'd include it anyway because, again, this is just how I rate books. With that being said, let's get started. The first book in the series that I read, and it is the first book overall, is Eye of the World. Now, Eye of the World is an interesting book for me because this is the closest I came to DNFing a book in the series. To me, this is just a very meh book, so I'm going to put it in the meh category. I gave it 2.5 stars because there are some things I liked about this book, but there's equal amount that I didn't like. Now let's start with what I didn't like. I'm more of a character reader than a plot reader. That doesn't mean I don't like plot. I book needs plot to really be good, but I do like reading books for the characters more so than the plot. And I had a real struggle connecting with any of the characters in Eye of the World. I just didn't really like most of them. I especially didn't like Rand. He was really, really whiny in this book. He like whined almost the entire time he was on the page, and that got on my nerves. Like I did not enjoy Rand. I really hated Matt. Matt was my least favorite character in this book. I compare Matt to movie Pippin in the first two books. So Matt, the movie version of Pippin from Lord of the Rings, not the book version. Book version again is a very different character, but the movie version of Pippin, he always makes the worst possible choice. Always, every single time. You can give him like three choices, like make the right choice, just do nothing, or make the wrong choice. Movie Pippin always makes the wrong choice. Matt in Eye of the World and The Great Hunt to a lesser extent always makes the worst possible choice every single time. Every single time. And also, he's told not to tell secrets, and then he tells them anyway. Like he'll tell them, he'll give out information to anybody every single time. Just every time he'll give out information, even though he's told not to multiple times by multiple different characters. And Pippin does the same thing. So to me, Matt is very comparable to the movie version of Pippin. So yeah, I hated both of those characters, and I also hated Nynaeve, or Nynaeve, I don't know how to say her name. I didn't listen to the audiobooks, and I haven't watched the show, so I don't know how to say certain characters' names. Nynaeve, who I ended up really liking later on in the series, she starts off really hard to get into because she's kind of just mean and judgmental and angry, and every time she's on the page, I feel like she's yelling, and it's just too much. Just too much Nynaeve in book one, and I hated her. And then there's Tom, and Tom is just Glee Man in book one. He gets so much better. Honestly, all four of these characters get a lot better. Rand becomes, one of my favorite just literary characters throughout the series. But in book one and two, to a lesser extent, I hate him. I just hate him. But Tom, let's talk about Tom again. Tom, he's just super Glee Man. Everything he does is Glee Man this, Glee Man that, Glee Man this, Glee Man that. He's like not even really like a person. He just feels like a Glee Man. And Glee Man stuff is kind of annoying. Like it's not annoying, but it's just overboard a lot of the times. Thankfully, later on in the series, Tom kind of just becomes a person who is a Glee Man. Like he's a person and a Glee Man instead of just a Glee Man. Okay, so those are the four characters, actually, that I really hated in book one. And they're on the page a lot, especially Rand and Matt. Rand and Matt take up most of the time in book one. But then there's the other characters that just kind of don't leave an impression on me at all. Perrin in book one. There's just nothing there. He's just a wet blanket. His arc is really good in book one. The wolf stuff, I really, really enjoyed the wolf arc in book one. Like, it's so good. And I enjoyed the wolf arc throughout the series, but he doesn't really have a personality in book one. He's just kind of a wet blanket who does some cool stuff. So, Perrin, I didn't hate him, but he didn't leave much of an impression on me in book one, even though I really liked his arc. And then there's Loial, the Ogier. I might be saying both of those names wrong, and I apologize if I am, but Loial kind of puts me to sleep when he's on the page, and that doesn't really change throughout the series. There's actually like one instance where I think he's like a pretty good character, and it's in the last book. But otherwise, I just bounced off Loial, and I know that's just like kind of a personal thing. Just like all these things are just kind of personal. But Loial, I never really connected with, and yeah, I struggled with him here in this book, and he's on the page a lot. And then there's Min, and Min's sort of the same way. I didn't connect with her, and I sort of never connect with Min either throughout the series. But then there's the characters I like, and unfortunately there's not many of them in Eye of the World. I really love Moiraine. I think Moiraine is the star of Eye of the World. She is great in this book. So yeah, she's really what kept me reading. And then there's Lan. Lan's awesome in this book, and he has a great backstory, and I really liked Lan in Eye of the World. I think throughout the series is kind of up and down, and I'll explain why when I do my character tier list at a different time. And then there's Egwene. And Egwene is awesome. I loved her in book one. I loved her from the beginning. Like, she's just great. Like, she's like, oh, I'm coming. I'm going on this adventure. I want to go. She's like really the only one that's like, I want to go. For reasons that aren't like selfish. Or like reasons that are like, I'm going because I need to protect people. She wants to go because she wants to experience the adventure. She wants to learn. And then like when Moiraine tells her, well, you have the potential to be an Aes Sedai, you can channel. And she's like, yeah, sign me up. I'm in. I want in right away. It's like, I want to learn. She's awesome in this book. and I think she's awesome in the series in general. I know she gets some slack online. I've since found out, but since I finished the series, I stayed blind throughout the series, so I didn't know who like the most popular characters are. Besides from Matt, I knew Matt was popular, but I didn't know anybody else where people rank everybody else. But yeah, I really love Egwene, so I don't care. Now let's talk about the plot a little bit. Like the plot of this book, that's another problem with this book for me. There isn't really a plot until about 75% of the way through the book. They're just kind of like trying to avoid the shadow and trying to go to Tar Valon. It's like, what does this have to do with the Eye of the World? And then about 75% of the way through, you figure out what it has to do with the Eye of the World, and that's cool. The plot turns good at the end, but for a lot of the book, you're kind of just sort of directionless, and it feels a little weird. And the book's a little bit long, I think. I think the book's about 100 pages too long, 150 maybe. And then my last thing that I didn't really... The last thing's a positive and a negative. There's just so much world building. So much. Now, the positive of that is a lot of the world building is great. It's just great stuff, and that's what I really enjoy about this book, is the world building. But there is a bit of a negative to it, because the prose gets a little meandering, because we're just world building so much in this book. But again, that's mostly a positive. There's mostly a positive to the world building, in my opinion. And the last thing I want to talk about are some of the plot points that I really liked. I really liked Egwene and Perrin getting kidnapped by the White Cloaks, so that was super exciting. My only thing with that is we sort of disappeared from it like way too soon. Like, I wish there was more of those chapters. Instead, we get like they get kidnapped and we get like 5 straight Matt and Rand chapters, which is just gross. And then we go back to the Perrin Egwene arc, and there's like 2 chapters, and they're, it's resolved. Another great scene is, I think, when Rand meets Elaine, Gawain, and Galad, and then they go before the Queen Morgase of Andor. I really enjoy those 2 like chapters. Those chapters are really good. It's by far my favorite Rand stuff in the book. And I really enjoyed Elaine and Gawain and Galad and Morgase. I thought they were really good characters. I wish they were in this book more. And then the third, any scene Moiraine does magic is great. So yeah, any scene she's channeling, I love. And yeah, so those are the 3 things that really stand out the most plot-wise in the book for me. Anyway, I just think it's a mad book. There's a lot of stuff I dislike about this, but also some stuff I like. Wasn't enough to keep me from not finishing, but I was close to DNFing it. It's the closest I got to DNFing. Next up is The Great Hunt. And The Great Hunt, for me, is a book that's would be perfect without one arc. I think The Great Hunt is my favorite climax in the series. From the time Egwene gets collared and becomes a Damani to the end of the book, I think that's the best stuff plot-wise or climax-wise in the series. It's my favorite climax by far. And there's other great stuff in this book. You really get into the White Tower here a little bit. So there's some White Tower politics, and it reminds me a lot of A Song of Ice and Fire. So the politic-wise in the White Tower. So I really loved exploring that, because we get Egwene, Nynaeve, and Elaine, and Min actually in the White Tower, even though Min's not channeling in this book. And then they go on an adventure like halfway through. But yeah, I really enjoyed that part of the book. We get introduced to the Seanchan in this book, and I think the Seanchan are great villains. I think they're like the best villains in the series, honestly. I know some people might point to the Forsaken, but I honestly think the Seanchan are way easier to hate. So yeah, that was awesome. I love that about this book. And you get some White Cloaks too, who are also very easy to hate. So you get like these 2 factions of villains that are like very easy to hate. Yeah, and I also think Perrin in this book is like a star. He's really good in this book. So yeah, there's just a lot of great stuff in this book. The only reason this book didn't get 5 stars for me, because like I said, it peaks really high. It peaks so high, is there's a mini arc where Rand goes through the Portal Stone with Hurin and Selene. And those chapters, that arc just bounced off me. Like, I kept bouncing off that reading. I was dreading reading that part when I was reading it. But here's the thing. I think on a reread, I would enjoy that arc. I didn't know at the time Selene was a Forsaken. I didn't know she was Lanfear. I don't know if I'm supposed to know she's Lanfear at that point or not, but I didn't pick up on it. And I think Lanfear is awesome. But I didn't know it at the time, so I was just bouncing off all these chapters. So for me, that's what keeps it from getting 5 stars in the perfect tier. But it's still a great book. Really, really good stuff. Yeah, this is where Wheel of Time. I was like, okay, I'm in. I was not like fully invested after Eye of the World, but after the Great Hunt, I was fully invested. Okay, now let's talk about the Dragon Reborn a little bit. Okay, here's my thing with the Dragon Reborn. I don't think it peaks as high as the Great Hunt. It just doesn't. It doesn't have the highs of the Great Hunt, but it also doesn't have the lows of the Great Hunt for me. The Dragon Reborn is one of two books that I think are super balanced front to back in the series. Like there's nothing bad in the Dragon Reborn. There's so many good things. There's so many great things in the Dragon Reborn. There's just nothing that's like super high perfect. Again, we get more White Tower stuff in this book, and the White Tower stuff in this book is even better than the White Tower stuff in the Great Hunt. Yeah, and we get more Black Aja in this book, and I love, honestly, my favorite parts of the series are the Aes Sedai. So the Black Tower stuff, the Black Aja stuff, I mean, is really good, and I think it really delivers in this book. This is the book where Rand and Mat get fixed, in my opinion. They become really good characters. Rand is like barely in this book as a point of view character, but the parts he's in, he's starting to go mad a little bit. He's not whiny anymore. Instead, he's like super confident. Really good stuff with Rand. And this is where I start to really love Rand in this book. Like, he's just great in this book. But more importantly, Mat in this book. He gets it's like he went through like a paint job. He gets a fresh coat of paint. He's a whole new character. He's no longer making terrible decisions every time. He's funny now. He's not giving away secrets all the time. He just sort of becomes a different character, and he's really, really, really good in this book. Really good. There's also a Perrin scene with the wolves that I think is like really good in this book. But for me, the stars of this book are Egwene, Elaine, and Nynaeve. They're perfect in this book. They're so good. All three of them. This is, again, Nynaeve started becoming good last book, actually, in The Great Hunt. But now she's great. I love Elaine. I know some people don't like Elaine. I love Elaine. She's awesome in this book, too. So, yeah. To me, this book doesn't peak as high as The Great Hunt, but it's still a great book because there's nothing bad in here. Everything's good or great. So, for me, The Dragon Reborn goes right here. I'm going to put it behind The Great Hunt, but it's just barely behind The Great Hunt, only because it doesn't peak as high. Okay, next week, go to The Shadow Rising, and this is generally considered the fan favorite of the series, right? And I love The Shadow Rising. There's some really good stuff in here. You really get to explore the Aiel, who are introduced in The Dragon Reborn, but you really get to explore them more in this book. The Perrin Two Rivers arc, Perrin Fael Two Rivers arc in The Shadow Rising, is one of the best arcs in the series. It's up there. It's probably in my top 5. I don't want to totally organize my top 5 yet, but that arc is amazing. Really amazing stuff. I think the climax of this book is really good, where Rand proclaims himself the Dragon Reborn, and the Forsaken show up, and Rand does battle with Azmodan and Lanfear, sort of. You got the White Tower sort of division here, which was shocking to me. I kind of expected Siuan to get dumped eventually, but I didn't know it was going to happen so early. And more than that, you really set up a great villain. Eladia is an awesome villain, and or awesome antagonist, I should say. She's not really a villain; she's more of just an antagonist. And the stilling and execution was overboard, and it was like great. And when they escaped, it was like, oh, dude, this is so good. So good. I love the White Tower politics, and they delivered in this book. I loved Egwene, like, she's a dream walker, and I love that she figured that out, and now she went to the wise woman in the train. Because so Egwene wants to learn 24/7 what she wants to do, and she goes there to learn, and it's perfect. Perfect for her. She's not in this book as much, but it's perfect. I thought Elaine's scenes with Rand ruled. They were really, really good. Just exactly what I want. I think they have the best chemistry of the 3 Dragon Riders. Elaine, Min, and Aviendha. I've always preferred Elaine to chemistry-wise with Rand. I just think they're really good together. And yeah, so this book would be perfect. I heard some people call this like the Empire Strikes Back of Wheel of Time. The only reason it's not perfect for me, and this is probably controversial because I think everybody loves this chapter, I don't. It's the Rand Aiel flashback scenes when he goes to the Terrangle Periangural. I don't know how to say that word. I'm sorry. Uh, so you get like these IL flashbacks where you learn they were like a peaceful tribe with Way of the Leaf, and it's just like, oh, God, I don't care about the Way of the Leaf. I'm sorry, I just don't care about the Way of the Leaf. I didn't want to know that. I love the IL as they are these like savage fighters, but they're like sort of crafty and gritty and like realists. I did not care about the IL being Way of the Leaf. I just didn't. I bounced off those chapters hard, and that chapter's really, really long. I think it's one of the longest chapters in the series, and they don't break up the flashbacks. They're all in one chapter. It just didn't work for me. So for that reason alone, it can't get into perfect. But and I didn't even talk about the Matt scenes. The Matt when Matt goes into Terryangreal and he meets the foxes and the snakes, and those scenes are really funny and really good and really tense. Yeah, so there's so much great stuff about this book, and it has one of my favorite arcs in the series. But because of the Rand flashback stuff, I just can't give it a perfect rating. To me, it's great, but it's the top of great. Uh, right there. I think it's the only book in the series I gave 4.5 stars to. So yeah, it's right there. Okay. Next up is Fires of Heaven, and to me, this is a perfect book. I love Fires of Heaven. It's arguably my favorite book of the series. Yeah, I think it's perfect. There's nothing I would change about it. I thought the character work was superb, and I thought that it had 3 different climaxes, which was really cool. You had Matt, Rand, Egwene, and like the Wise Ones versus the Shadow. That's like the first like army battle you really get in the series, and Robert Jordan is really really good at writing army versus army battle action sequences. He's better at that than he is at writing like one-on-one sword fights and stuff like that. And then you got Rand and Moiraine versus Lanfear, which is awesome. We've been building to that for like 3 books now, and it paid off perfectly. And it was like the perfect end for Moiraine, even though it was a kind of a fake out end. But at the time, we didn't know that. Perfect end, good stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then after that, we got Rand, Nynaeve, and Moghedien versus Raven. And I think the Raven plotline is so good. I love the Raven plotline, how he came in and he basically infiltrated Andor and Camelin and got Queen Morghese under compulsion, basically, without her even knowing. It's such a perfect storyline, and I was rooting for him to die so badly, and he did. That was a great fight too. I loved how Nynaeve like outsmarted them. Yeah, so that was outsmarted him. It was so good. Outsmarted Moghedien, I should say, to be able to contribute in beating Raven. It was really good stuff. Okay, there's also a few more things I really loved about this book. We got the Rebel Aes Sedai plotline. It really picks up in this one, and I think it's perfect. I love that plotline. It's maybe my favorite arc in the series is the Rebel Aes Sedai. So yeah, you get the beginnings of that here, and it's just like it's so perfect, intense, and it's like their scheming is just exactly what I wanted it to be. It was great. Azmodan, who is one of the Forsaken, who's teaching Rand this book. He's basically like his mentor because of what happened in the Shadow Rising, and he's such a good character. Like his little quips are like kind of funny, but he's also like a really good teacher, even though he doesn't want to be. Yeah, did really good stuff with him in this book. I really enjoyed him as a character, and you really got like Rand like starting to go crazy more in this book. Like his back and forths with Lewis Theron in this book are awesome. Yeah, there's almost nothing I didn't like about this book. Perfect book. So it's going to go in the perfect category. Perfect tier. First entry into the perfect tier. Okay, next up we got Lord of Chaos. This one's a great book. I don't know if I have this. I've seen some people put this as in their perfect tier. I would not do that. There's a couple problems with this book for me. I'll start with the problems and I'll get to the stuff I like. It's just a little bit too long, just a tiny bit. Like I think this could have been 100 pages shorter, maybe 200. It is the longest book in the series. I think it's about 10,000 words longer than The Shadow Rising. And then there's Perrin Fael plotline with the jealousy stuff. I really hated that. I really hated that. And it's sad because I really like Perrin's arc in The Shadow Rising. And I like Fael's arc in The Shadow Rising too. That's when I was like, oh, I like Fael. And then this book was just like, no. And it wasn't just her. Like, she brought Perrin down too. I shouldn't say she brought him down. They brought each other down in this book. And They didn't work. That plotline didn't work for me as well as it should have. Luckily, it doesn't take up that much of the book. So let's go to the stuff I love. The politics. This is the book where the politics get dialed up to 11. This is like next level. This is like straight out of A Song of Ice and Fire, and I love that. I love A Song of Ice and Fire, so I love the politics in this book. It's really, really good stuff. Yeah, the Rebel Aes Sedai plotline again. This is where Egwene she finishes up her training with the Wise Ones, which is awesome. She's like probably the only one that would ever go through like actually doing the full training with the Wise Ones. She's a learner through and through. It's like her character epitomed, and then she goes and becomes the Amarillion in the Rebel Aes Sedai camp, and they promoted her Amarillion as sort of like a puppet. They want her to be a puppet, but right away she's not a puppet. She's like, I'm not going to be a puppet, and she starts her planting her seeds how she won't be controlled in this book. That whole plot where she gets raised to the Amarillion and the Rebel Aes Sedai is perfect. I loved it. Nynaeve heals Stilling in this book. That's a huge deal, huge moment. Love that moment. It's so good, and it works. The way she does it works, and you get like Logain's relief and Siuan's relief and Leanne's relief at being healed, and it's really a perfect scene. And Nynaeve, one of Nynaeve's best moments of the series, in my opinion. I love her, and she was great in this scene. And you got Elaine starting to make like ter'angreal, I think, in this book. I think that might be next book, but she does. I really can't remember for sure, but yeah, she's great in this book too. Even if that's not what she does, I remember really liking her arc. And then finally you got the climax, which is Dumani Wells. It's a great battle, great scene. It's a little bit gory for me. Like some of the descriptions of what happens to these people is a little gross. But the battle itself and the plot line itself is great, and it really changes Rand, and that's kind of what you want it to happen because he needed to be changed eventually. And gets changed for the negative a little bit in some of these books that I didn't love, but I think it had to happen that way. Yeah, but I still really think the Bonnie Wall is a great action scene, a great action set piece, and I like the characters involved. Yeah, and it's the first time you really get to see the Ashramen do like magic or channel in like a battle, and it delivered. Now there are a couple negatives here. You got some Savannah plotline, and Savannah's sort of a wet blanket, but she's not in this book a lot, and we'll save that for later. But yeah, like I said, the highs of this book are really high, really high. Damani Wells, the Rebel Aes Sedai plotline, healing Stilling. I think Rand is just really good in this book. So yeah, highs are up there for sure. The 4-star book, I just don't think it's a 5-star book. It's not a perfect book. It's a great book. And I will put it above The Great Hunt, but it's not going above. All right, then we go on to Crown of Swords. This is where some people say the slog starts, and I disagree. Hardcore disagree. Crown of Swords is very good. They have been building to Rand versus Samael for books now. For books. Like, maybe in Fires of Heaven we were building towards it. We were definitely building towards it in Lord of Chaos. It just didn't happen. It finally happens in this book. I'm not saying it's the best fight in the series or the most exciting, but the payoff's worth it. Really good stuff. And there's other good stuff in here too. I'm someone that happens to really enjoy the Elaine, Nynaeve, Mat, Bowl of the Winds plot. That entire plot where they're in I forget the name of the city. I think it's really good. Some people don't enjoy that plot line because of the way like Elaine, Nynaeve like talk to Mat, but I actually think it's kind of humorous and I think it fits their characters. I don't have a problem with that at all. I really enjoyed those 3 character interactions, and you also get Elaine interacting with Tom in this book, which is what I've been waiting for that for books now. I was glad it happened in this one. You get more Eladia in this book, and I think Eladia, like I said, is a perfect antagonist. Robert Jordan does a cool thing with Eladia. He doesn't overshow her. She's not in any book for a very long period of time, but the scene is in, it's like, oh, I hate her. She's such a good antagonist. Very good stuff, and she's in this book. She has a scene in this book. I don't remember what happens exactly, but great, like you really like. Oh, I hate this character. She's perfect and perfectly filling her role. Really good in this book. And then you also have Rand getting stabbed by Padan Fain in this book, and we hadn't seen Padan Fain in a while, at least in like a major way. that was shocking, but also just like really good. And we also got to talk about Katsuyane. I'm somebody who actually really likes Katsuyane as a character, especially in the beginning. Towards the later half of the series, she gets a little. I don't think Brandon Sanderson necessarily knew what to do with Katsuyane. He didn't get that character. I don't think. I think Robert Jordan writes Katsuyane really good, and she had maybe my favorite debut of the series in this book. She was awesome. So yeah, and this book also had 115 straight Egwene point of view pages where she's just like scheming as the Amarillion, as the rebel Amarillion, and I think that really worked well. So yeah, there's a lot about this book I like, a lot. Now the reason it's not going to go into the great tier for me and the good tier is because there are 3 or 4 things that I really hated. They don't outweigh the good stuff though. The good stuff, there's way more good stuff. But let's talk about some of the stuff I hated. The pale file jealousy stuff continues in this book, and there's even more of it. And it's just like, oh god, this has to go on to this book too. Luckily, it doesn't continue past this book very much longer, but this book it's dialed up to 11, and it's not good. It's very much not good. I had a real problem with that. There's a lot of Savannah in this book, who is the Shado Il wise woman, sort of like the leader of the camp because they don't have clan chief. The clan chief died. So yeah, she's in this book a lot, and I don't think she's a good character. And it's not that I'm rooting for her to fail or anything. She's not like a good antagonist either. She's just kind of a wet blanket. Like I hate reading when she's on the page. I want to shut my book. I want to close my book. I do not want to read about her, and she's in this book a lot, so that's not great. And then lastly, we got to talk about the Matt Kylan sexual assault stuff. That's not good. It's never been good. I'm sure. Like it's just really bad. And I was kind of cringing when I was reading it. I didn't want to read that. I don't know why that's in this book. And they try and play it off like it's humorous, and it's really not humorous. So yeah, there's some bad stuff in this book for sure. But there's a lot of good stuff. A lot of stuff I enjoyed anyway. So for me, it's not a great book, but it is a good book because there's a lot of stuff I enjoyed. Okay, and then if people say the slog doesn't start with Crown of Swords, they say it starts with Path of Daggers. And here, I super disagree. I see some people rank this as their worst Wheel Time book, and I just don't, I totally don't understand. To me, this book is great. It's a great book. It has way more stuff I love than I hate. Maybe like 1 or 2 things I hated about it, but for the most part, it's great. What I really loved about this book is you get way more Sanshan. And I'm not saying I like the Sanshan. I hate the Sanshan. I just think they're excellent antagonists. And this book is sort of a shift away from the formulaic Wheel of Time books that we have been seeing. Every book, basically, besides for Lord of Chaos, end it with a Rand versus Forsaken fight. And that's like what all these books built to. And this book's like, no. We're going to do Rand versus the Sanshan. And that rules. It ruled so much. And it also set up the Sanshan as sort of a force, because this is really the first time we see Rand ever take a loss. It's not a real loss. It's more of a draw. But it's like, Rand's kind of been defeated. And what is he going to do with that now? He failed to defeat the Sanshan. And then, of course, you got the great climax with Mazrim Taim, who I saw coming from a mile away that he was not a good guy. I don't know if everybody else did, but I knew it. I was like, this guy cannot be trusted. And he turns on Rand and tries to kill him. So that's a really great climax, in my opinion. It works really well. And the supporting characters like Katsuyane in that moment and some of the others, I think Min was there. Really good stuff. I really enjoyed that plotline. And then you had Perrin, who kind of rebounded in a major way this book. I loved his sort of marching to meet the Prophet. I thought that was like a really good plotline, and he does some other stuff in this book that's really good. And I think Fael even ends on like a really good cliffhanger where she gets kidnapped. But that cliffhanger was excellent, and it sort of redeemed her in a way that I wasn't expecting. And then Egwene outsmarting and wrestling power away from the hole in the Rebel Aes Sedai camp. I thought it was just really good scheming, and it was written really well, and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, there's a lot I really loved about this book. It's great. Even the Morgase plotline. I know some people are probably like, why do I have to read about Morgase right now? Like it's basically not even like a real major character, and it's like I don't care. I liked Morgase when we met her in Eye of the World. I always wanted more Morgase, and we got more Morgase in this book, so I can't say I hate it. I really liked it. Yeah, so it's not perfect because the peaks don't peak really high, but there's almost nothing in this book I ate. I think it's a great book, but it's the bottom of great. It's not, it's not better than any of the other books I have in the great tier, but it is in the great tier for me, for sure. Okay, A Winter's Heart. Okay, I do feel the fog a little bit in this, but probably not as much as most people. I can see you being disappointed in this book if there's years between books. That would be kind of bothersome because not a whole lot happens in this book. But stuff does happen. It's not. There are 5 main plots in this book, right? So there's the Rand plot line, which has a really great climax. There's the Perrin plotline, which basically doesn't have a plot line. It basically doesn't have a climax. It just sort of ends in the middle of doing nothing. As the Fael plotline, which again doesn't really have a climax, just sort of ends in the middle of doing nothing. It's got the Elaine plotline, which ends like sort of again doing nothing, but like the stuff she does do is actually really interesting because it's really good character work there, and she starts playing the politics to try and get back Andor. It's really good stuff. Yeah, I really enjoyed her plotline in this book. And then you have the Mat plotline, which I also really liked. Mat plotline is a really good climax where he like saves a bunch of Damani from the Seanchan. Again, Seanchan are just terrible people, and you get introduced to Tuon in this book. So there's a lot of good stuff here, and I think the climax. This is my second favorite climax of the series. It's not better than the Great Hunt, in my opinion, climax wise, but yeah, it's my second favorite. It reminds me a lot of Avengers Endgame, where people are coming through portals, and yeah, just really good stuff. And Rand cleaning the source was just a really powerful moment. I really love this climax. And like I said, I really like the Mat climax too. The character work in this book is superb. Like all 5 plot lines have really good character work. Elaine, Perrin, Fael. I think all their plot lines have really good plot work, character work. So yeah, there's not much I hate about this book. Again, there's just some plots that sort of don't really go very far in this book, but they go far enough, and you really have 2 plot lines that have really good climaxes, in my opinion. So for me, this is a good book, not a great book. I would put it below Crown of Swords, but it's something that's good. Okay, and then we get to the book that is generally considered the worst book in the series. People really don't like Crossroads Twilight. And I have to say, nothing really happens in this book plot-wise. I'm not even kidding. Like, basically nothing happens. So this book has the really cool idea of having like half the book take place during the Winter's Heart climax. So you're like in Mat's point of view chapters, and like the channelers near him can sense some big thing happening, and they don't know it's Rand. They assume it's Rand, but they don't know what he's doing, and it's like, whoa, and then you have the reaction there. Then you got Elaine, and she can sense it, and it's like, what is happening? And then, other characters, I think people with Fael can sense it, and Perrin, and it's just, yeah, there's a lot going on there, for sure, and I think it's a really cool dynamic that they did there. But it made it so the book didn't really progress very many plot lines. But I really enjoyed those scenes because the character interactions were great. I was always wondering, like, well, you get to see what they think Rand's doing. It's really good stuff, really powerful. Really enjoyed it. Egwene kicks ass in this book. Yeah, she's awesome in this book, and she really is the only one that has like any sort of plot thread that comes to like a reasonable climax in this book, really. And her getting kidnapped at the end is such a heartbreaking cliffhanger, and I thought that was really well done. Yeah, I really enjoyed her work in this book, scheming wise. And then you got Elaine, who's playing the game of houses while dealing with the siege at the same time, and trying to become queen. She's just really good in this book. Really good stuff. I really enjoyed her character work in this book a lot. And then you have Perrin. He has one of the best scenes in the series here, where he chops off the Shadow's hand, and he's like, well, maybe I can't go that far. I can't do anything to get Fael back. That's too much. And he gives up his axe. He throws it down. That was like a really powerful scene. It meant a lot. But again, there's not much climax. There's not much of the climax in this book. Not much progress plot-wise. And it's really just continuing from where Winter's Heart ends, and like not where it ends, like Winter's Heart's plot threads that don't come to a climax. So they continue here, but it's like nothing really happens still. So I don't think it's a good book, but it's not enough. There wasn't enough there to make me hate it, because again, I'm a bit of a character reader, and I thought the character work was awesome in this. So for me, it's still just a mad book, and I actually enjoyed it more than I enjoyed Eye of the World. So I know this is shocking, but me, it's in the mech tier, but it is above Eye of the World. Okay, I read it in publication order, so I read New Spring next. And for a prequel, I thought this was a breath of fresh air because it's a bit shorter, it's a bit more lighthearted. It reads more like a young adult book because the characters are a bit younger. I'm a big Moraine fan, so I really enjoyed getting some of her backstory. I like Siuan too, so that was awesome. I really like Lan too. My problem with Lan is I think he's a better non-point of view character than point of view character, and he's a point of view character in this book for some chapters. Not many, but for some. I think being in his head's a bit jarring because he's kind of just like depressed all the time. I think there's some really good humor in this book though. There's a part where Moraine wants to set wasps on land that I thought was really funny. And I like that you get to hear the foretelling of the Dragon Reborn. That was really cool. And you get like cameo appearances by Eladia, who's just as awful in this book, and Katsuane, who's really powerful and really cool in this book. And you get to learn more about like Sheriam and Leilani and all these other Aes Sedais you meet. So yeah, this book takes place in the White Tower. You get way more White Tower in this book than you do in most of the other books, which is really cool. Yeah, so I really enjoyed this book. I think it's a good book. Obviously, it's not a great book because there's not really much plot there. Although you do get some Black Aja plot, and anytime you bring the Black Aja in, I'm in because they're really good villains in my opinion. So yeah, yes, this is just a good book. I would put it above Winter's Heart, I think, but below Crossroads of Swords. I mean, Crown of Swords. Actually, no, I would put it below Winter's Heart. I think that's good. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. Those two are really close for me, but yeah, we're gonna go with that for now. Okay, then we got Knife of Dreams, and Knife of Dreams is the last Robert Jordan book, and it is my favorite book in the series. Fires in Heaven and this are really close. They swap back and forth by the day, but for right now, A Knife of Dreams I have ahead of it. I really like because like I said, if you were listening to me, I really like the the plot arcs that they set up in Knife of Dream. In Winter's Heart and Crossroads of Twilight, and most of them finally wrap up in Knife of Dreams, and they wrap up in really satisfying ways. The Perrin and Fael plotlines kind of converge, and they wrap up really nicely. Um, yeah, the Elaine plotline finally wraps up here when she becomes queen. It really good stuff. It's really, really, really good stuff there. Um, and then you also get the Egwene in the Tower point of views, and there's only like 2 chapters where she's the point of view character in the Tower, and one of them's in the prologue, and they're both really, really good. They're the best parts of this book. She's the MVP of the book for me. There's a chapter called Honey in the Tea, and it's a really long chapter. It's like 40 pages or so, and it's great. It's a great chapter. Great, great. It's my favorite chapter in the series, I think. The amount of pain she goes through and the tolerance and the power she builds up and how she's like sort of bringing people into her sides by accepting the pain and not running from it is really good. Like she's just outsmarting Eladia by the day, and it's a really powerful chapter for a really powerful character in my opinion. I really love that chapter, and it has that's my favorite chapter in the series. And this has another top 5 chapter for me in the Golden Crane, where Nynaeve teleports Lan to the Borderlands, but she brings him to a place that he didn't want to go to, like a different part of the Borderlands, so he has to travel. And then she goes to all these other places and tells them to raise the Golden Crane and come and help Lan. And I think it's just a really powerful chapter, and it's why we love Nynaeve. It's exactly what she would do. It's great. But besides that, there's other great stuff too. They brought back Galad. The Knife of Dreams prologue is the best prologue of the series, I think. And you have like a Galad versus I forget the guy's name. I think his name is Barda in the prologue. Really good stuff. Because Galad's now a member of the White Cloaks. I don't know if I brought that up earlier, but yeah, he takes over leadership of the White Cloaks, and he sort of like changes them for the good. They're still not perfect. You're still never going to love the White Cloaks, but I think Galad's a really good character. I really like Galad, and I really enjoyed the prologue there. And Rand's not in this book a lot, but the twist with him losing his hand was perfect. Really good stuff. And I think this book set up the end in a great way. Like, it was really, really set up the end. I only wish that Robert Jordan got the right the last book, but fortunately he didn't. But yeah, this book's great. Perfect book. It's my favorite book in the series. Yeah, it's a bit of a setup book, but I love a setup book. Love a good setup book, and this is one of the best I've ever read. So, top of the tree for me. Top of the tier list for me. Okay, and then we get to the Brandon Sanderson books, and they're interesting. So the first one up is The Gathering Storm. And this is an odd book for me because I think it's great. It's one of my favorites in the series. Uh, but there are a lot of problems with this book. He got a lot of the voices for me. I knew like wrong. Like I thought Rand pre-collaring was wrong. Like collaring's a deliberate change. It's a deliberate change to his voice. But pre-collaring, Semiraj, one of the Forsaken, collars him in this book, and he breaks free by using the true power that he gets from Meridian. But that's a whole different thing. Let's not talk about that right now. But I thought his voice was very off in this book in the beginning. Luckily, you have that deliberate change, and it doesn't really matter. And I think he gets better at writing Rand in the following books. And then Mat. Mat is the worst offender of all. What I compare Mat's voice to in this book is when people try to imitate Yoda, but they don't quite understand Yoda, so they get like the switch wrong, and they say like they say it in like the wrong order. That's what it sounds like with Mat to me. Like I could tell it's Mat, but this isn't how he talks. It's just like insert the word bloody a lot. It's like, okay, is Mat just drunk right now? This sounds like drunk Mat. So yeah, Mat's voice was wrong in this book, but I didn't really matter that much to me because his plot line in this book with Tuon was great, even though, and I'll get into Tuon when I do my character tier list. Not a big Tuon fan. I don't think anybody's a big Tuon fan, but I'll get into why when I do my character tier list at a later date. Yeah, and then, this is really Egwene's book. And let's talk about one last problem. My one last problem is Perrin's arc in this book is just a retread of what he went through. So Perrin, started out, I would say, in like a Winter's Heart, being like, I'm not a leader. Like I'm a bad, or maybe it was Path of Daggers. I can't remember. Like, I'm not a leader. I don't want to be a leader. I'm bad at being a leader. And then by the end of Knife of Dreams, he's like, oh yeah, I'm a leader. I'm great. I solved everything. I could be a leader. I'm really good at it. Then this book starts. It's like, oh yeah, I'm not a leader. I can't be a leader. I failed at being a leader. It's like, what? No, you just learned how to be. We did this arc already. Like, why are we doing this arc again? We're repeating arcs in the Gathering Storm, and that Perrin arc that did frustrate me, and that's one of the main reasons I can't, bump it up to the perfect tier, because Perrin was just redoing his arc, and it wasn't as good. Like him learning to be a leader from either Path of Daggers to Knife of Dreams or Winter's Heart to Knife of Dreams was perfect, and it wrapped up perfectly, and he became a leader, and it was so good. And then they kind of just reset it, and we're doing it in a different way now, where he's wanting to become a leader, and it's like, I already read this arc. Why am I doing this again? So yeah, that bothered me a little bit. But let's get on to the two major positives in this book. Egwene's arc. This is Egwene's book, and she rules in this book. Rules. Every time she's on the page is perfect. And then you get the Varen reveal. And the Varen reveal is so good. So good. Where she reveals she's a Black Ajah, but she did it for the right reasons, and she's handing over who's the Black Ajah to Egwene, and it's just so. And I love how she hands it over to Egwene and not Eladia. She knows, like, Egwene's the real leader here. I'm giving it to you. And then and the only way she can do it is by poisoning herself to kill herself, and she's like dying for the right cause. Such a good scene, so powerful too. And then the Seanchan attack. The Seanchan attack on the White Tower. That was such a good action scene. One of my favorite action scenes in the book. So yeah, just really good. I love how Egwene is like motivated not only by the unity, bring unity to the tower during that scene, but also because of she was a Damani. She got collared by the Seanchan before. She knows what it's like, and she's like, she can see it in her head. She's like, no, we can't let that happen. And she just, while the rest of the Aes Sedai are running around with their hands in the air, she's organizing battle plans. And man, when she has that like ter'angreal in his, was it a sangreal or an angreal? I think it's an angreal in her hand, and she's just wiping out Seanchan after Seanchan. It's such a powerful moment, and she leaves the novices against them. It's so good. Such a good scene. And then she gets raised to the legitimate Amarillion, and she reunites the White Tower. Such a good plot line. But then there's the climax. Veins of Gold. I think it's my second favorite chapter in the series. Veins of Gold is so good. It's Rand is like, why should I even save these people? And Rand's like, he's been this like sort of depressed, angry psychopath since he got collared by Semirage last book. And then in Veins of Gold, he realizes peace and what's worth saving, and he sort of becomes a sort of like almost divine figure at the end of Veins of Gold, and it's so good. The image of him sitting on top of Dragon Mount and then destroying the Sangreal is just so good. Such a good chapter. I love that chapter. Excellent work. Yeah, so this is it's a great book for me. Doesn't quite reach the perfect tier because it does have some problems, but for me, it's right below The Shadow Rising. Right below. And I know there's going to be a lot of great books in this tier list, but that's just the way it is. There's a lot of great books in this series for me. Okay, then we go to Towers of Midnight. You remember how I said there were two balanced books in the series? The Dragon Reborn. The other one is Towers of Midnight. There's almost nothing bad in this book. It's a very balanced book. It doesn't peak super high. From front to back, it has great stuff in it. So I really love the Tower of Genji plot with Mat and Tom and Moiraine. Moiraine coming back was awesome. I love Moiraine. So them saving Moiraine, always going to love that. Elaine wasn't in The Gathering Storm, which I was a little disappointed by, I'm not going to lie. But she was in this book. I don't think Brandon Sanderson necessarily got her voice correct, but I did love her arc in this book. When she's in the cells fighting the Black Aja, like I knew there was no chance Elaine died. Like I knew it. I was like, she's not dying in this book. If she dies, it's going to be next book. And still, Sanderson had me convinced that she was going to die. Like I was shocked when she got stabbed. I was like, she has babies. She's pregnant too. She has babies. That was such a shocking scene, and it was written so well. I love that scene. Perrin, there was this one. I think it was actually 2 chapters where at the same time you had Egwene and the Wise Woman in the Dream World versus the Black Aja and Forsaken, and you had Perrin versus Flare and Gawain versus the Seanchan assassins called the Blood Knives, trying to protect Egwene. And that's the type of action scenes that Brandon, I think, is really talented at writing. And those scenes are great. Those 2 chapters were awesome. Really, really good highlights of the series. But Perlane and Fael had some interactions in this book that were awesome. And then this book is just really the book of reunions. You had like Morgase reuniting with Galad, Morgase reuniting with Elaine reuniting with Galad, Elaine reuniting with Gawain, Mat reuniting with Perrin reuniting with Elaine. There's a lot of good stuff and a lot of good reunions in this book. So yeah, I think does Mat reunite with Elaine in this book too? He might. I can't remember. But yeah, there's a lot of good reunions in this book. So yeah, this book was awesome. And then you got like Rand, who's sort of like this divine figure in this book, and he's kind of just like going around like making deals and doing some other stuff. And he's really good in this book. I really loved his voice in this book. Really good stuff. And I thought Mat was a lot better in this book too, his voice. The only thing that really was a minus for me was the interlude. I don't know how you say this guy's name. Interlude chapters. He was just introduced so late in the game that I could not bring myself to care about him, and I found his chapters to be quite a bit boring, even though they were technically good action scenes, right? But yeah, they bounced off me. So yeah, to me those chapters didn't work, but everything else was great about this book. So yeah, pretty balanced book, I would say, and it's in the great tier, but it's below Lord of Chaos. Below Lord of Chaos, but ahead of the Great Hunt. Okay, and then we got probably my most controversial thing. You're A Memory of Light. I have a lot wrong with this book, but I still think it's a good book. So there's a lot I love about this book, but I don't think Egwene should have died. I don't think Robert Jordan was going to kill her. And I'm not saying that just because I'm an Egwene fan. I'm just saying because Robert Jordan's a pretty heavy foreshadower, and there's no foreshadowing that she's going to die. And there's no backup plan for if she's not the Amarillion to end the series. There's nobody else that could do the job. The White Tower was failing before she took over, and now we're going to Cadsuane, who is as traditional an Aes Sedai as you can get. It's just going to be failing again. Like, it makes no sense that would be the direction you go. And you can say Nynaeve, but Nynaeve's too radical. She's too different. The Aes Sedai would never let her be leader. There's no replacement for Egwene, so I don't think there's any chance she would have died. And then there's two like visions in earlier books. We got one where Min tells Egwene that Galad is going to do something in her life, and then Galad never does anything with Egwene in her life, so that just never happened. Even though Min is never wrong. And then you got Egwene has a true dream where she sees herself getting saved by a Seanchan woman. And the Seanchan woman turns out to be a Genian. And she does get saved by her in this book, but then she dies 200 pages later. And it's like, no, that's clearly not where she's supposed to get saved. I don't buy it. I don't think that was what Robert Jordan was intending. And then I saw an interview after I was done reading where Brandon Sanderson was like, yeah, Egwene was still alive in the notes, but he didn't really have anything else written for her other than that she's pregnant with Gawain's baby and Egwene saves her from being killed. He's like, well, we just had to change it because we wanted a heroic sacrifice. And I was like, well, I don't think she's the right choice for that because like the books point to her being Amarillion. Like that is her arc. That's like what she needs to be because there is no other backup plan. I think it was a bad choice. I think there could have been other characters that could have filled that role. Lan, who was always being foreshadowed to die, and then there's Rand, who was also always being foreshadowed to die, and both of them somehow live. So, there's a lot of casualty for casualty's sakes in this book. I think Siuan and Gareth Barn are another one. Their deaths don't really serve any purpose or make any sense. It feels like casualty for casualty's sake, and that's kind of where I think I differ from people because I don't think books necessarily need death to make something mean something. I think what books need is trauma, and I don't think trauma necessarily means death. I think you can have trauma without death. So, okay, that's only one of my gripes. I have a couple more gripes. The Fael Horn plotline makes no sense. You have to suspend your disbelief so far to make it make any sense at all. Like, there's no reason they would send Fael to go get the horn. She can't channel. She can't do gateways. Rand was going to meet Mat when he was with Tuon. Like, Rand already knew this. All you had to do was send somebody to Gateway to get the horn, and then Gateway back to Rand, and then Rand was going to Gateway to meet Mat. And it's like, you could have just gave him the horn then. It makes no sense. You have to. Fael would never be the one to get the horn. Like, it makes no sense. Really dumb plotline. And then there's the Dark One, I should say. He reads a lot like Brandon Sanderson's Shard characters, which makes he's more of an idea than a character. And I love the Cosmere, but I didn't really want the Dark One to be a Shard. And he's written like a Shard. He's written like Ruin from Mistborn or Odium from the Stormlight Archive. And then the last problem I would have is that the pacing is just very, very, very breakneck. There's no room to breathe. It's just all gas, no brakes. So yeah, those are the problems I have, and for me, those problems are too much to get it into the great category. They're too great of problems. But there are some scenes that are some of my favorite in the series. I think Egwene's death scene is actually really, really good, really powerful, really good moment. I just hate the decision. Like, if she was going to die, that's a great way to go out. But I hate the decision. Oh yeah, there's one more problem, by the way. Logain, he's supposed to have this heroic moment. Min has this vision. He doesn't really have a heroic moment in this book. Like, he's not the one that saves the Black Tower, and he doesn't kill Dame. Like, I'm pretty sure the heroic moment was supposed to be him killing Dame. It never happens. The series was building to him versus Dame. It doesn't happen. He breaks some seals. Okay, I guess that's him breaking seals. I guess is heroic. I disagree. But yeah, I thought the Pavera Androl plotline was really, really good. Really, really, really solid stuff. I thought the epilogue was amazing. I thought the Rand twist where he survives was really good. I thought when they sound the horn and Briquette shows up and saves the land, that was awesome. Awesome writing. Yeah, I thought how Grendel was going around and sort of twisting the minds of the four great captains. I thought that was really, really good. I thought Diamadrid was a great antagonist in this book. Awesome stuff. I thought Galad had a really good scene, even though the fake out death was like whatever. Yeah, and there was other stuff too that I'm kind of forgetting. Oh yeah, so the meeting in the beginning where Egwene meets with Rand and they discuss this dragon's piece. I thought that was a really good scene. Yeah, I wanted to see Rand and Egwene go at it with words the entire series, and when they finally do here, it's just perfection. I love how Moraine's the one that steps in and like solves it for them. It's like, yep, we're gonna listen to Moraine. She knows what the hell she's talking about. I thought Rand dealing with Tuon was awesome. Awesome stuff. Yeah, I really loved that scene. I loved Egwene dealing with Tuon. That was really great. Yeah, so there was a lot of great stuff here. I think there was a scene where like Egwene meets the head of the Green Aja, and she basically reveals herself to be the head of the Green Aja, even though she's not. You're not supposed to know who the head is unless you're in the Green Aja. She like reveals it without revealing it to let Egwene know that she would have been accepted in the Green Aja if she wanted to, because Egwene's of no Aja. That was a really good scene, really powerful stuff. Yeah, so there's a lot here that I really liked, but to me, it's just a good book, not a great book. Because some of the problems I had with it, and I would put it above A New Spring, but below it, I think. No, I put above A Winter's Heart, not above Crown of Swords. Yeah, that's about right. So this is my Wheel of Time tier list, and I am happy I read this series. I think it's one of the best series of all time. It's in my favorite series. I don't organize my favorites, but it's up there with my favorite series of all time, or Harry Potter, Song of Ice and Fire, Stormlight Archive, Throne of Glass, Wheel of Time. Oh, and obviously Tolkien, but not just Lord of the Rings. You have to, if it's just Lord of the Rings, it wouldn't be up there my favorite. But you got to throw The Hobbit in, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and The Silmarillion, which I love. So you throw those 5 in. So yeah, those 6 series right there. Those are my 6 favorite series. What order they're in, I don't know. I refuse to order them. But yeah, those 6, great stuff. And yeah, so I played at Wheel of Time, and I had a great time. And I really had a great time because of the characters. I think the characters, more so than the plot, is what I love about this series. So yeah, I can't wait to make a tier list and character tier list. And thanks for watching. Comment below. Let me know what you think of my tier list.